friends, welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to a variety show, a Q&A show, a chill stream where we're going to hang out, chat, I'll try to answer questions, all that good stuff. Welcome to the show. Let's see, we can turn the drop game back on. I might need to fix the leaderboard because it's like covering me. But hello everyone. Hello Michael, who says LOL. Welcome. Hello Yesser, who's asking, can I show a CI/CD pipeline sometime? Sometime. I don't know if I'd have enough time to set it up today, but sometime. That'd be fun. And hello, Josh. Welcome. Hello, Heisenbrock. I actually just rewatched all of Breaking Bad. Yeah, so that's a thing. Hello. And cool, yeah, so those of you that installed the mobile app, let me know if you got that notification. It's in alpha right now. Cool. They say it works. Infi says it works. That's good. C and CJ stands for chill. I could believe it. And good evening, Bart. Hello, Domenico. Hello, Depopam. Hello, Coding Pasta. Hello, Android Gamer. Dana Chu got the notification, so that's good. And Andrew got it. That's good. Sujan says, I need to finish my CS project. Can you please teach us how to do sentiment analysis using naive Bayes classifiers using JavaScript? Probably not, because I know nothing about any of those things. But we'll put it on the back burner. Maybe we can do some Googling and try to find some things. But hello, Ed. Welcome. Hello, Joe Mama. Hello, Harsh. No, thank you. And hello, Master Jobs. Hello, the Coding Train, who says, can't stop, but just want to say hello and wish everyone well. Well, thank you, Dan. Thanks for dropping by. Hopefully you're staying safe there in New York City. At least staying away from populated places and all that good stuff. And hello, Doc. What's up, Doc? Welcome. Hello, Manus. Hello, Harsh. Hello, Mohammed. Hello, Faraz. Hello, Alana. Hey, Ben. Is it a long time? Were you in the last stream? Regardless, hello. Welcome. Hello, Scrimpy Data. Hello, Depra Tim. Hello, Darshan. Hello, Simjohn. Hello, the Nerdy Dev. Hello, Bart. All these wonderful faces. It's been a while since I've seen a lot of you. Welcome to the show. And hello, Jay Getachu. Hello, Tyrone. And Jay Getachu got the notification too, so that's good. Looks like the LED command is working, so that's good. Hello, Apoina. Welcome. Hello, Dev. Hello, Magic. Thanks for the follow, Bram Dev. And hello, Madi. The app isn't actually on any store. Here, I'll send out, honestly, anybody can really sign up for it, but I'll send out this form where you can submit your email and I add you to the beta tester group, and then you can install it from the Play Store. Anyone watching, were you able to install it on iOS? Because I know a lot of people couldn't even get it installed on iOS, but it does work on Android as long as I add your email here. But if you fill out this form, I will add you to the beta tester list, and then you can install it. It's a very simple app. It basically just sends you a push notification whenever I go live. But yeah. Do I recommend RevealMD for tutorials on Now V2 deployment? Those are two very different things. But RevealMD is actually really cool. It's what I use for all of my slide presentations. RevealMD. It's based on Reveal.js, but you can write all of your slides in Markdown. But I really like this to create slides. Deploying that to Now, that's absolutely possible because RevealMD has like a build command that you can use. Yeah. Machine learning stuff, that's true. Why is the person on there? Oh, it didn't get reset. Oh, it shouldn't. I think someone's name is blocking their full score. Or somebody just hasn't gotten a higher score than that. If somebody scores higher than 4.73, you'll get your name on the leaderboard. I have a typo. Let me know if the... Oh, I said if instead of in? Oh, well. I'll change it next time. Nice. Welcome, Client Telephone. Thank you, Dev. And hello, Bram Dev. Hello, hello. Hey ho, Mealcrest. Welcome. Hello, Amadao. My Android 10 back gesture doesn't seem to work on the app. I may not be, yeah, there's definitely probably bugs in there. Do you mean the back gesture to get out of the app? That should work. I don't know. Hello, John, who did a 3 kata. That's good. Hello, AG. Okay, well, welcome back, Ben. Glad to see you. I didn't stream for like 2 weeks, so that's a thing. Oh, cool, Depopin. Yeah, so yeah, make a list on how to deploy and all, yeah, all that good stuff. And hello, Salty Sea Cow. Welcome. Hello, Ultrendo. A fellow. Oh yeah, both your names end with a chew. That's pretty cool. And Bob got the notification. That's good. Oh, sweet. Congrats to Andrew, whose app got approved for Google Play. That's great work. This is the longest hello I've ever heard. Yeah, lately, a lot of people watch, so we typically spend like 20 to 30 minutes just saying hello to everyone in the chat. Um, it's not that scalable, especially once we have like over 100 viewers, but you know, it's chill here. We're just trying to hang out, have a good time. Hello, Bluebee Stone. Welcome. uh One of the vids is playing and no going back. Wait, does that mean you're stuck in the application? Yeah, I am standing today. Hello, Victor, and thank you. Why do we need helmet? I could try to answer that question. And I will mention this, if you do have questions, try to ask them here at qa.coding.garden. The issue is there are a lot of questions, so there's a lot that I just haven't answered yet, so we're probably just going to get to those today. But I'll leave these on the back burner and see if we have time to answer them. And hello, Man on the Run. It's been a while. Welcome. And hello, Fluke. Yeah, I should. This is a good idea. There's a lot of things I want to do. I think pretty soon I'm just going to stream myself building tools for the stream, and I won't stop streaming those things until those tools are built, because there's a lot of things that I want to do that I just never get around to. So, yeah. Oh, and Infi has a high score. Welcome. Welcome to the leaderboard. How did I make the coronavirus tracker? We'll keep this question and we'll make it from scratch because it's actually pretty easy. I found an API, and then I'm using the geolocation API in the browser to detect your location, and then calculating the distance from that. So yeah. Oh, you had the high score. Yeah, client telephone's up at the top now. And hello, Mustafa. Welcome. Bob says my university is going full online. Yeah, I've heard a ton of people that are going full online. And welcome, Raiders! Clark Yeo with the raid. Thank you so much. We're just getting started. You have arrived at the Coding Garden. We just do a lot of JavaScript development here. And today I'm answering questions. So if you go to qna.coding.garden, you can ask a question there and I'll try to answer it. But there are a lot of questions here. So I may not get to it. And we're just getting started. We've only been live for like 10 minutes. So usually I like to say hello to everyone before we get into it. But welcome. Thank you so much for that fantastic raid. What are you working on today? And welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. And I'll tell you a little about like what's happening, because there's a lot going on the screen here. And thanks for the follow, Niklavs. So this right here is a camera. The left-hand side is a Connect 4 game, and it's Twitch versus YouTube. So in the chat here, any message you see that's red are people that are watching live on YouTube. And so right now, YouTube has played Connect 4 in the 0th column. So anyone on Twitch, it's your turn, so you can do !C4 space, and then the name of the column. There you go. Somebody went in column 1. And so it goes back and forth between YouTube and Twitch for that. And then this thing on the right is an 8-bit LED display. So if you do !LED and then pass in 8 bits, zeros or ones, it will light up the corresponding LED. So that's fun. And then also, the stuff you see on the screen is the drop game and the leaderboard here. So if you do !drop, you might potentially land in our wonderful garden here. And if you land closer to the center, you might make your name get your name on the leaderboard. Cool. And yeah, I am working remotely today. I'm taking a long lunch to do this stream. And thanks for the follow, Seagerbs. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, Bob mentioned my university is going full online. I know a lot of people whose like work and school is going online because of the coronavirus. And then the other thing, if you're new to the show, I am currently 4 minutes behind on chat. So I use this tool over here to try and acknowledge every message, but there's a lot of people watching, so we may not get there. And then we'll start answering questions, and we'll try to write some code based on that. And see you later, Clarkio. Thanks a bunch for the raid. Have a wonderful weekend. Cool. Isn't it now v3 now? Okay, so somebody earlier was asking about Zeit now. Is it version 3? Let's see. I think it's still version 2. Well, I mean, the CLI version is 17. I don't know, but stuff has changed on Zeit now CLI for sure. And hello, Pranjal. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing pretty good. I've been at home for like the past 3-4 weeks, trying to avoid contact with the outside world. Yeah, other people's classes got canceled, so that's good. I am standing. You can't really tell, but I'm currently standing right now. That is a thing. And hello, Florin from Hamburg, Germany. Welcome. Oh. And hello, Darth. Welcome. First time live. Welcome to the show. We're just getting started. Hello, Cheyenne. Welcome. And thank you, Barath. Welcome. And hello, the A from Mike. Araveen is saying, I need a login and register with JSON Web Tokens using React. I always recommend Ben Awad on YouTube. He has a ton of really great videos on JSON Web Tokens and a ton of great videos on React. Ben Awad. Check him out. If you want to learn about those kinds of things. I don't think I'll have time to do anything like that today. Yeah, and someone else asked about the coronavirus tracker, so we'll talk about that. But I made this little app. It's called Where's COVID? It will detect your location and then tell you how many reported cases there are that are like the closest to you. The data set I was using changed because it used to provide like city level data, and now sometimes it's off. Like it says I'm in Los Angeles, but the nearest location is Nevada, and that's usually because the API I'm using, the locations are just the center of the state rather than the actual location. But regardless, if you go here, this will tell you how many cases are reported nearby. I did actually want to make some updates where you could have like a slider to say how many miles away from me, and then it gives you the sum total number of cases. So you can say like within a 500-mile radius, how many reported cases are there? But yeah. I think we might try to rebuild this today with like React and hooks. That would be fun because I built this with vanilla JavaScript, but that would be cool. Oh, look at that. Yeah, so I have a mobile app that's in alpha right now that I am building so that people can get push notifications when I go live. And Andrew, looks like they got both notifications, so that's cool. And if you are new here, both of my chat windows, they will render some HTML. You can't write scripts, you can't add style tags, but you can send specially crafted messages that will actually render in the chat, so that's a thing. How do I add my wife to the crew? You wouldn't add them. You can just share the link, and it'll detect their location either based on their IP address, or it actually will request permissions. I'll show you that. So if I clear the settings and refresh it, it'll ask you if you can use your location. So yeah, and I'm not actually in Los Angeles. I'm just using a VPN. I am in, where am I? Denver. I'm in Denver, Colorado. Yeah, and thanks again, Clarkio, and all the raiders. Yeah, that works. Thanks again for the raid, and thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, and Client Telephone is on the leaderboard. Great work. Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of places are closing for sure. Yeah, my work just had an official announcement this morning that we're going to stay closed as long as Denver Public Schools are closed. Yeah. And thanks for the follow, Remote. Thank you, thank you. Let's see what you actually did. That's funny. Yeah, so HTML is a funny thing. So as long as the opening tag was correct, it just inferred what the rest was, because that should be a / instead of a \. But yeah. And hello, Always Turing from Iran. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Raid. Oh, I see. She went for the test today. I see. The data that I'm using is from the Johns Hopkins website. And so this is updated whenever they have whenever they have new information. So this isn't like super real time. So depending on where you live and depending on the data source for that place, let's take a quick stretch. This is my break timer. if you've been sitting down for a while, feel free to stretch. But yeah, my app just uses the data from here, so I don't really know, or I couldn't. It won't really get reported until wherever they live or wherever your wife lives reports that it's a confirmed case. So that's a thing. Hello, Doritos, who says, I can't believe you're live. When you started streaming about programming the map where you can see your comment, which is stored, I learned a lot. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that was like over a year ago. Well, that's one of my most popular videos on YouTube. So yeah. See you later, Dev SM. Thanks for dropping by. The GitHub student pack is so good. That's good. Hello, Re235R. Yeah. There's quite a few people watching. It says there's 77 people watching on Twitch and 77 on YouTube. 78 on YouTube. So what's that? Can anybody quick maths? 77 plus 78, 155. And thanks for the follow, Niklavs. Welcome to the show. If I have time to review your portfolio, I think I will. Yeah, your question about reviewing your portfolio is up at the top, so I should have time to do a quick review of it. And hello, Eternal Dev Coder. Welcome. Yeah. Anybody up for some Connect 4? Yeah, nobody's won yet. YouTube had 3 in a row. So yeah, that's a thing. How do I feel about projects having multiple package.jsons? Sometimes you need that because you have front-end code and back-end code, and they both have different dependencies. So that's a thing. Yeah. And hello, GamerCat Nico. Thanks for the follow, Gerbs. Yeah, I am remote. And hello, Win320day. Welcome, welcome. Anthony says, me and my girlfriend Linda are watching right now. She loves that you say hi to everyone. We watched you solve a JavaScript problem last night. Well, that's great. Hello, Linda and Anthony. Welcome, welcome. I try. Like I said, there's a lot of people watching, so I hope as well. I hope that they do not test positive. That would be bad. Yeah, and everyone stay safe. Avoid contact with the outside world. Wash your hands. All that good stuff. We're just gonna answer questions. We're gonna keep saying hello for like 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna answer questions, try to write some code. Hedra says, I am able to use Redis locally, but I don't know how to use it in production. I go to Redis Labs, create a database, but I don't know how to use it. I try to get an error. How to use Redis in production. It would be very similar to any other database. I've never used Redis Labs, but I would assume it's similar to like MongoDB Atlas, where you need to whitelist your production server's IP address or something like that. But yeah, I don't know for sure. I think the coronavirus hype is way more than needed. If you are young and healthy, you don't really have much to worry about. You'll have like flu-like symptoms. But if you're older, then it does matter. And I think, and the thing is, the reason places are closing down in terms of like schools and work is because it prevents people from spreading the virus. So sure, if you get it, it's not that bad. But if you come across someone who's more at risk, that's a bad thing. So by limiting your contact with other people, you're preventing the virus from further spreading. So I don't know. And hello, Kevin. Welcome. Oh, nice. That's good to hear. Sickly, welcome. School is straight up canceled without replacement. Wow. Yeah, the Denver Public Schools extended the spring break holiday. So that's a thing. This life is so chill. That's good. And thanks for the follow, Nunix90. Welcome. Check the GitHub issue on the deploy with now v2 repo. I can do that. And so those of you that are new as well, if you go to github.com/codinggarden, all the code I write on this show gets pushed up here. It's totally open source. Show deploy with now v2. This is a test. Oh, or do you mean issues? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I need to do an updated now deployment video because they changed the way everything works. So that's the thing. How to learn dev online. Is that a question? You can watch this show. I teach JavaScript sometimes. Is my area affected? Yeah, so in it's interesting though because on this map the dot is gone from Colorado, but there are I think close to 50 cases reported in Colorado. We can look on the Colorado government website. Here. Case summary. Oh, wow. There are 72 presumptive positive cases in Colorado. That's crazy. And I live in Denver County, so there are 13 presumptive positive cases near me. So that's a thing. I don't know. Like I mentioned, I've been staying home for the past few weeks, but yesterday I did do a grocery run, but that's, for me, that's the last grocery run for like the next month. I'm literally just gonna stay at home. I have enough food stocked up. I'm just gonna try to avoid everything for a while. And hello, Hummer, welcome. Oh wow, they just set the error page to the content. That's funny. Yes. Exactly. It's like it's hyped for a reason. It's more contagious. It's more deadly. Yeah. And hello, Mikkel. Welcome. Oh, thank you, Silically. Silically, much appreciated. That's true. Yeah, like because this is U.S. based, everything else is just at the country level. So it really doesn't matter how far away it is from you. You kind of just want to know how many cases are reported in my country. That's a thing. It's all a thing. I don't know. I need to finish the robot arm. Yeah, I started working on this, which is a robot arm powered by servos. Once I finish building it, it'll be controllable by chat. But I have all the pieces that I need. I don't need to order anything new. I just need to finish building it. That's a thing. I keep saying that's a thing. I don't normally say that. And hello, Guy from Israel. Much appreciated. React. Oh, thank you, the nerdy dev. Yeah, Tom Hanks and his wife got the coronavirus, which is very unfortunate. And hello, Icky from Germany. First time catching me live. That's great. Welcome, welcome. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. I think I might not have the right icon resource for the mobile app. That's a thing. Look at that. That's a beautiful font. What font is that? Zapfino. Huh. Cool font. Great work, Infi. Every time before calling a route, should I call the JSON Web Token route to get the new token? Are we talking about front end? Or are we talking about back end? Usually in the back end, you have like one middleware function, which will check the JSON Web Token accordingly. But yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. You can send Markdown as well. Hello, Valentino. Welcome. All right. We got to start answering questions and writing code. So I'm 10 minutes behind on chat, and there are 106 messages that I didn't get to. But if you have a pressing question, feel free to throw another message in the chat, and also feel free to ask questions here. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of questions, so we may not get to them, but feel free to ask them. We'll see what we can do. And thanks, Remote, again, for the follow. Okay, let's get into it. And thanks, Max Cahill Official, for the follow as well. Where do we begin? I've skipped this question so many times, mainly because I want to do like a dedicated episode on it and like do some research. But okay, so here's the question from Pranjal. This is about programming paradigms. I want to know, what is the difference between functional, procedural, and object-oriented programming? It would be great if you write some demo app in these different styles. So my question to everyone that's watching right now, can you think of a problem that can be solved, and really procedural can come into play in both functional and object-oriented. So really it's a comparison of functional and object-oriented programming, but can you think of a problem that I could solve in both ways and show the code in both ways? Let me know. We'll hold on to that question, and we'll try to think of like an example problem that we can implement. What is this? And I guess we'll start with like a portfolio review. When I do a review, a queuing system built functionally and object-orientedly. That question is like multiple semesters of courses. Yeah, but we could solve one problem in both ways, like a Sudoku solver built with object-oriented and one built with functional. Here, I'm going to save this question, and anytime a suggestion comes in... You people with all your fonts. That's funny. We'll save this, and when suggestions come in, we'll throw them right here. And hello, Kingsley. Welcome back. We have a queue system. We have... Somebody suggested something else, right? I don't know. Hello. I am older than 12 and younger than 40. That's what I'll tell you. And Max Khalil says, I just want to thank you because I'm a Node.js beginner and I learned almost all from you. Oh, thank you. That's great to hear. You might have to specify the Comic Sans typeface the right way. Okay, so maybe we can do a queuing system. That would be interesting. If you search my channel, so if you go to coding.garden/videos, you can search across all my YouTube videos, and I've actually done a lot of streams on web scraping. So if you search for web scrap, you can see quite a few different streams that I've done on that. There you go. But oh, typefaces included with macOS. Cool. What's up, Shook? Welcome. The last stream I did was the Code Wars Code Katas thing. I can try Mahidra, but like I said, I haven't really used Redis before. Hey, Steven, what's up? Thank you, Dev SM, much appreciated. Brush script. Okay, but this question came in from Cheyenne. We'll highlight this one. Can I do a quick review of your portfolio website? I will try. And it was linked here, so let's go to it. Hello, my name is Cheyenne. I'm a developer living in New Brunswick, Canada. Canada. Welcome to my portfolio website. Cool. So I am a big fan of dark themes, so I like this. I don't know if potential employers are a fan of dark themes, but I like it. I think there's enough contrast between the background and the font, but the font is actually like it's somewhat close to black, right? Because it's like a grayish bluish color, at least to me. So maybe you want some more contrast between the background and the font itself. But cool. So got a link out to GitHub. I like that those things increase in size on hover. This links out to, I guess that just links back to the homepage, so that's cool. But I do like the hover effect. Let's go to About. Let me tell you a few things. And again, okay, now the more I look at this, I don't think there's enough contrast between this color and the background color, but maybe you can increase the lightness of this particular color. My name is Cheyenne. I'm a computer science student at the University of New Brunswick. Right now, my main focus is web development. Cool. I like that you chose like your themed blue color for the anchor tags instead of like using the browser's default color, and that color matches like links over here. So that's pretty cool. Watching Tech Talks on YouTube. Cool. Let's look at work. Nice. So this is links to the apps that you've built. Cool. And I guess My Shows is one of the things you did for Coding Garden for the Seedling School, wasn't it? Oh, and it's responsive. Look at that. I like it. So yeah, you're linking out to all your projects. You link to GitHub and the deployed version, so that's cool. And if we go to Contact, this is a little interesting. Seems a little wonky to me. Like whenever you hover over one, the other ones move. Like they move to the right a little bit. It's not that big a deal, but it would be nice if these just kind of like shrunk in place without changing the things around them. That's cool. Yeah, but overall, Cheyenne, I think this is a great portfolio site. You link to your work. It's nice and clean. I love it. Great work. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. Did I miss anything? I missed a lot. I'm sure I did. And hello, Alex. Yeah, it's been a while. Can I briefly just explain the difference? Yeah, yes, because what I was saying is procedural is technically just like code that runs top to bottom, and it can be both. You can have functional code that's procedural, and you can have object-oriented code that's procedural as well. Let's see. Hello, Mason. Welcome. Did I enjoy college? Not really. What technologies do I use every day at work? Mostly JavaScript. So right now I'm working on an app where the front end is React, TypeScript, and I'm using a state library called Easy Peasy. And the back end I'm building with node.js and Feathers because it's a real-time application. The database is a MySQL database. And I'm also using Objection, which is a database ORM. But I mainly do full stack JavaScript. Oh. Yeah, it's always fun to put stuff in the chat. Yeah, the contact page is a little iffy. That's the only thing I had issue with. Other than that, it looks really cool. Are people dropping like virus emojis or whatever? Hello, Sumit. Welcome. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Cheyenne. Looks good. Oh, a Corona. Nice. Can I get the price range for school management project? I don't know what you mean by that. I really don't know. Cheyenne's question was like way up at the top of the list, so I probably won't be able to get to other questions. And I don't think Traversy Media uploaded a video. I think you're trying to rickroll me, but great try. Oh, the difference between let and var? We could probably talk about that. Well, like I said, we're trying to get through this list. Sumit. Sumit? Hello, Sumit. Tips on how to find your first programming job. I'll answer this question because it is at the top of the queue. It currently has 6 votes, so I'll answer that one. It's sort of like finding your first job, but yeah, you can definitely ask that question here, and I'll get to it like in a future episode. It should ignore commands that begin with an exclamation mark, I believe. Logic programming. I've used typo-rm and I hate it. It's the worst thing. Nobody should use typo-rm. People should stop using typo-rm right now. And thanks for the follow, Poor Life Choices. Traversy Media really did just upload? Is that a thing? Okay. Let's answer this question next, which came from James, who says, when do you know you're ready to go to develop on a team or take paid development requests from people? Nani? This is an interesting question, and this comes a lot from like beginner programmers and people that are like self-taught. Scrimpy says, I'm using typo-rm right now. Oops. I just don't like it. It's very verbose. The docs don't always line up with how you actually do things. The maintainers don't keep up with the project. I don't know. Okay, but this question, when do you know you're ready? And a lot of people that are self-taught ask this question. Like, they just don't know. And my answer to you is, if you can be given a problem, a coding problem, or a task, like build this website that does X, or update this website to do X, or fix this bug on the site, if you can do any of those things, you're ready for a job. Plain and simple. It doesn't matter how long you've been learning. It doesn't matter like really what you spent a lot of time learning. Like if you have been learning to program and learning to be logical and learning to solve problems, you're most likely ready. And that's about all I have to say about that. Like if you can solve a problem without having to like find an article or a tutorial online and follow it verbatim, like if you can try to write it yourself, you can still look at documentation, you can still look at Stack Overflow. I do that every day. I've been coding for over 15 years, and I do that every day. But if you can be given a problem and solve that problem with code, you're ready for a job. Plain and simple. That's my answer. And thanks for the follow, Column New. My favorite ORM is Objection.js. I use it in conjunction with Connects.js. Can you check my simple Corona details website? Maybe? Can somebody else click that link and make sure it's legit? When am I finally going to develop the list of Rickrollers? Soon, I guess? I don't know. Sequelize or connects for Postgres? I would suggest connects with Objection. Objection.js. And hello, Adrian. Welcome. Can someone learn how to build a web app with good architecture? Because I've done a few Angular apps, I'm not sure if they're designed in the right way. Learning about architecture just comes from experience. if you've worked on a lot of apps, you'll know when you're in a bad architecture. Um, and you can also learn from not necessarily architecting something yourself, but looking at apps that other people have built and created good architectures for and learning from that. So, yeah. Can I see your question? Yeah, but there's a lot of other questions ahead of yours. So, whenever you get a job, you're ready. Yeah. The site is legit. Okay. All right, we'll click it. Function instead of function. Cool. This looks very similar to the one that Wes Boss did. Wes Boss uploaded a video recently. What I like, though, is the numbers tick up. That's pretty cool. So we have total cases. We can go to USA. Cool. I like it. It's clean. All right, let's keep answering questions. Heck says, would you be interested in having my dog on stream and attempting to teach my dog to code? Yes. Just reach out. We can set that up. All right, this question comes from Ricky. We can do a code example for this one. So this will be good. Ricky is saying, in Vue, let's highlight this question. In Vue, when loading data from an API in a template, what's the best way to wait for the data to return before showing the DOM? I'm using the created hook. Is it best to use vif, or would you suggest another way? I think that's the way to go. Like typically, and this pretty much goes for any front-end framework. You can make the request in the created method if you're in Vue, in component did mount if you're in React, in a use effect if you're in React. Basically, that makes the request, and your UI or your component can basically just check to see does that data exist. And if it doesn't, show a loading message or something like that. So raise your hand if you want to see an example of this using Vue.js. And if you don't, say no. We'll decide whether or not we actually want to write some code for this. But my answer is, yeah, that's how you do it. But we can show an example if you really want to see it. Nay, says Mr. Darkside. Infi raises his hand. We got one yes, one no. We need a tiebreaker. All right, we're gonna do it. That's it. You don't have to answer anymore. We're gonna do it. Okay, everyone's raising their hands. So cool. Let's generate a Vue app. I'm gonna make sure I have the latest Vue CLI because it's been a while since I made a Vue app. I love Vue.js. It's my favorite thing, and I run the Denver Vue.js meetup. But I write React at my job and on a daily basis. What do I think about boot camps? They're cool. You should do some research before you pick one. I used to teach at a boot camp. There are a lot of different kinds of boot camps, and the one I taught at was a 6-month program. I think if you're going to go to a boot camp, it needs to be a long program. You can't learn everything you need to know to get a job in like just 4 weeks or 12 weeks. 24 weeks is a good amount of time. If you do _dot files, you can see my bash config. All right, so we have the latest Vue CLI. All right, so I'm going to disable the drop game. Nice drop, Ultrindo. And I'm going to attempt to code this thing all in one go. I'll try to answer questions if you have them while I'm coding it, but try to keep your chats and questions related to what I'm doing, because I will edit this to be a separate video on YouTube. So that's a thing. And also, feel free to say hello to the people on YouTube while we're doing this. Hello, Gene. Welcome. All right. So this question comes from Ricky, and they ask, in Vue, when loading data from an API in a template, what's the best way to wait for the data to return before showing the DOM? I'm using the created hook. Is it best practice to use vif, or would you suggest another way? I think that is a best practice, but I'm going to show an example of that, and we can potentially talk about your different options when you're doing things like that. So let's make a Vue app. We're going to do a Vue create API load example. Oh, Oh, and a new YouTube member. It should pop up on the screen soon. But Destin, thank you so much. Welcome to the YouTube members. Well, we're gonna take a pause. So if you are a YouTube member on YouTube, you actually have access to custom emotes. There it is. Thank you so much, Destin Lee. But you can do the CJ thinking emoji or emote, or the CJ JavaScript emote. So that's cool. You also get access. Oh, I haven't enabled it in my overlay, but you also get access to exclusive Discord channels. So that's a thing too. Okay, back to the question at hand. Let's generate an app. Let's select our features. We'll use Babel. I guess I'll add Vuex just in case we want to show a Vuex example. And that's it. It's going to be a very basic app. We'll do that, and that, and that. Let's go. So this will generate our Vue.js application. Like I said, Binawad has really good content. I mean, and it's just my opinion that I don't like TypeORM. It's fine if he likes it, but I do not like it. And hello, all the YouTube people. I've been coding for over 15 years. Cool. Why not? Let's just use the coronavirus API that I'm using. Let's see. Infi's a member. Really? Is that a thing? Let's see if he'll think he'll actually do it. No, you're not. But you did a good job for a split second. I actually thought so. Okay. But yeah, we'll use the data source I'm using here, and we'll show an example of that. So let's just copy this address, because this is an API that comes that gives you, it's from ArcGIS, and it gives you back all the info about reported coronavirus cases. Cool. So we'll use that, and that's the API we will request to show if things are loading or not. All right, let's save that, and let's go into our Vue app, and we'll go ahead and start it up as well. Why I know answer the Twitch chat. There's a lot of messages coming in. I answer both. I do. But if you really want to get your question asked, if you go to qa.coding.garden, you can ask it there. But like I said, there's a lot of questions there, so I may not get to it. Cool. So our Vue.js app is up and going. Let's fetch some data. We can just look in our app component, like app.vue. We can see that this is loading some other components. Let's just get rid of those. Gone. Let's not bring that component in anymore. We're going to have like a super basic app and just like one component. Hello world. Let's see what we get. Cool. Super basic. It just says hello world. So the question is, we need to request some data. Where do we do that? Typically, if you're using like Vue.js 2.0, you can do that in the created method. So there are multiple lifecycle hooks. These are basically functions that you can tap into that happen at different points in your application. So created gets called whenever your component gets created. There's also mounted. So when your component gets added to the page and mounted to the DOM, this function is going to get called. There's a few others. You can look at the Vue.js documentation to see all the lifecycle hooks, but I prefer to do it in created. The thing about that is the component hasn't been added to the page yet, because if you wait for mounted, it's actually added to the page. And so because it hasn't been added to the page yet, the data will appear to show up a little bit faster because you're actually requesting it before the component is even on the page. So we're going to do it in created. I'm going to put our API request in, or our API URL in a variable, and then we can request it. And then let's just make the request inside of created. We'll make this an async function. And let it be known that even though this is an async function, it's not going to wait for the API request to finish or anything like that. This is all going to happen in the background, and your component will still mount. So let's get our response, and we're just going to use fetch. So we'll say fetch that URL. And then once we get back the response, we'll parse it into JSON. We'll say response.json. And then for now, let's just log the JSON data. There's my break timer. Let's take a quick stretch. Yeah, and we'll need to make a data property. We're going to need to add it into the template. We're going to need to do a lot more stuff, but I just want to at least show that by calling this in created, we will actually see the data. And let's just log right here that we'll say component created ... So we should see that. Let's see what happens. We'll open the DevTools, component created, and then we actually see the API response. So that's great. Let's also tap into mounted and see when that gets called. So let's just log component mounted, lowercase m. Yeah, so you can see that because our API request is asynchronous, it actually mounts before the API request completes. And that's totally fine. But what that means is our API request is happening in the background, which is why I would prefer to make the request in created. So that's the first thing, is make your API request in created. You technically could do it in mounted, but the data is going to show up later because the component is already on the page. Cool. So now let's set up some data. So in Vue, you have a data property. This is a function which returns an object, like that. We're going to use the shorthand arrow function, which returns an object. And we can add a few properties on here. Let's say like loading initially is false. Let's say we have an error property where we can set it if an error happens. And then let's also have a data property, which is initially null. And for now, you know what? For now, let's just do data is null. And so what we want to do is we actually want to display this data inside of the template. And this comes back to Ricky's question, is it best practice to use a VIF? Absolutely. So because the data starts off as null, we can just have a VIF. So let's just have like an H2, and we'll say VIF data. So if data actually has something inside of it, we're going to show this H2 component and say data loaded, like that. You can also use velse in conjunction with it and say something like loading data. And that should work. And so right now, it just says loading data because we never actually set the data on our data. And so if we want this to display data loaded right here, we can say this.data equals JSON. And so now, when the page loads, we should see it for a split second, but it actually comes back really quick. But we should see for a split second that it says loading data. Loading data and then data loaded. So someone just asked, like, what is VIF? So right now we're working in Vue.js. This is a Vue.js template. And if you see VIF, this is a directive that says, if this is truthy, then render this element. If it's falsy, then we're going to render this element. So you can use those in conjunction. So that's great. Let's also do this just for the fun of it. We're going to wait a second before we actually set the data. Let's wait like 5 seconds. Because by waiting, we're going to see on the page, it says loading data, and then 5 seconds later, it should say data loaded. There it is, data loaded. Great. And that's great. And that's one way to do things. Though what I typically like to do is instead of checking to see if the data actually has a value inside of it, I actually like to use a Boolean. And so you can show like a loading spinner or a loading message. And the other thing is because this data is null, let's do this. So I'm gonna create a div and turn this into a div instead of an H2. And if the data is loaded, we'll show this H2. Data loaded, cool. But because this parent element is checking to see VIF data, any child element won't break if we're actually accessing the properties. Yeah, so someone's asking about this ID. This is actually not necessary. We're just using that to style it. Technically, I could change that to a class, and let's do that. I'll say class equals app. And that just comes default when you generate a Vue app. So there's that. Yeah, Luda is asking what's the difference between vif and vshow. Vif actually removes the element from the DOM. So I'll show this. Let's look at the elements. We'll refresh the page, and we can see that it says loading data, and then it actually entirely removes that div from the DOM and adds the new div here. Or it removes that h2 and adds this one. So vshow just sets display none instead of actually removing it from the DOM. So that's the difference between the two. Yeah, very similar to like Angular 1, vif and ngif in Angular. Why not just set data to loading data by default? I'll show you. I'll show you when we're doing this. Do I get a... not sure what you mean by that. Do this in React. We could. If I'm making a listing page, how can I restrict the updating the data to me only? That comes in with backend restrictions. Like you would have to create backend routes that look for a token in the request or look for a cookie in the request or something like that. But okay, so we're displaying this. But now let's actually display a property from that. I think, do I have the, yeah, I have the view dev tools. So we can see what data is available to us in our app component. So we can look at data. It has features, it has fields. Fields just describe what? Yeah, the fields that are coming across. Features, I believe, are all of the states that have reported cases. Yeah, so let's do this. Let's actually iterate over data.features and show each country and the reported, or the, let's say the confirmed cases in that country. Province and state. Okay, so now that the data is loaded, we'll just do like an unordered list. We'll do like a list item here. And we want to repeat this list item for every item in the features array. So we'll say v4 country in data.features. And we do need to set a key here. So let's bind the key to be data.features.id. Is that a thing? Oh, sorry. Oh, no, we can do, sorry, country dot attributes dot id. Let's see if it actually has an id attribute. Test. Can you do this? Yeah, marquees work for sure. There is no ID. There's object ID. Let's use that because we need a unique ID. If you do !Discord in the chat, you'll get a link to it. Okay, and inside of here, we want to show the country.attributes what? Province, state, and country region. So we need this property. And we need this property. Province, state, and country region. Cool, and right beside that, or I guess right below it, in bold, we'll display the number of confirmed cases. And this is just data dot attributes dot confirmed. There's a lot going on in the chat. Why don't you just sit down and do what? What? Who should sit down? Okay, all that just to show that the data will actually load now. Loading data, and then after 5 seconds, we see it, and we see the country and then the number of confirmed cases, right? So here they all are. That's great. So this comes back to vif versus vshow. The simple fact that I'm using vif right here means that the elements inside of this element will not render unless data actually has a value inside of it. So if I use vShow, we're actually going to run into an error because by default, data is null. And this is trying to repeat over data.features. So let's use vShow instead. And then we'll say vShow is if there is no data. You can see that the app doesn't render at all because it says cannot read property features of null, at least when the app first tries to render. Boo! And that's because initially our data is null, right? Which is why you should use something like vif, and this can be velse, because we only want this data here to render if data actually has a value inside of it. Just velse loading data like that. Fresh virus. And thanks for the follow, 4Geeks Academies. Welcome. What's up with that Arduino? It's currently a Connect 4 game. Twitch versus YouTube. The red dots are YouTube, the blue dots are Twitch. If you do !C4 and then a column 0 through 7, it will land there. And let's see whose turn it is. It is currently YouTube's turn to play. So if somebody on YouTube does !C4 and then a column, it'll light up. And then the other thing is 8-bit LEDs. So if you do !LED followed by 8 zeros or ones, it'll light up the corresponding LED. Yeah, this is John Hopkins data. That's all it is. It's the ultimate way to get your question answered. How to customize my terminal prompt like yours. If you look on my my list of all my videos, there's this video on setting up a Mac for web development, and I talk about how I set up my dot files and all of my iTerm preferences. So you can check that out. And if you do !dot files, you'll get a link to all of my dot files as well. You're the best coder I've seen. Oh, thank you, Salamta. Well, thank you. Right. Any other good stuff? Win320day is saying you could also add an iterator to the v4 and bind to the iterator. Yeah. But you don't typically want to do that because the key is used for the virtual DOM. And it's what tells the virtual DOM if a particular element should update or not. So if you use the index in the array, it could end up not changing when you need it to. But if you use a unique ID like this, it'll know to update things accordingly. So that's a thing. Do I prefer using Redux or GraphQL without state management? Neither. I prefer something called Easy Peasy. It's a state management library. It uses Redux under the hood. You all are funny. This doesn't seem to work. Explain pipes in Angular. I haven't worked in Angular in a very long time, so I'm not really sure. That's fine, Mahidra. we have a lot of questions on question channels on our Discord. Red versus blue. Yeah, it's not purple. Red versus blue. And see you later, Depopam. Thanks for hanging out. Yep, I made this. It's not on the Coding Garden GitHub, but if you look on my personal GitHub, it's called a Webcam Preview. It has cool things. You can choose your camera source. You can swap it around. You can change the opacity. Yeah, this is an Electron app that I made. Peace. Hello, Kun Chris. Welcome. Yeah, this is a button. Yes, it is. What are you doing with it? It's just a button. Can I just explain pipes then? There's a lot of different kinds of pipes. Is Redux really that difficult? It depends. There's the underlying concepts are fairly simple, but there's a lot of code and there's a lot of stuff going on. So it's not always that easy to understand for some people. And thanks for the follow, Evelavio. Evo. Yeah, you can do this. You could create a middleware that looks at the status code, and if it's 500, do something, and if it's not, do something else. But you can just do that with middleware. You would need an error handling middleware, or a middleware that is registered right before your error handler to decide what to do with it. Let's take a quick stretch. I actually have to go pretty soon. Probably like 20 minutes or so. So I think this was a good example of that. One thing I want to show is instead of using the data, let's actually use some other variables. So I typically like to have like a loading variable that's initially false. I also like to have like an error variable just in case something goes wrong. And then we can do this. So right when we make the request, we'll say this.loading equals true. Once we set the data, we'll say this.loading equals false. And in this case, we need to wrap the whole thing in a try catch to determine if something went wrong. And if it did, we'll say this.error equals error.message, something like that. And then we'll always set loading to false afterwards. So now in our component, instead of doing vif data, I'll just do vif loading, if not loading. So if we're not loading, then that means we're good to go. We could use a finally block, but it works the same just to put this code right here. I don't think I can answer your Redis question, at least not today, Mahidra. Be sure to ask it on the Q&A site, and I'll try to get to it later. I've never really done PHP or Laravel. If you search my videos for React TypeScript, I did a setup video where I showed easy peasy. Oh, that's true. The loading is now finished before the data is set. You're right, because we have this set timeout. Let's do this. Let's get rid of the set timeout. That was just an example. Typically, you wouldn't do that. And thank you, Mr. Balrog. If you do exclamation mark keyboard, you can get a link to my keyboard. And thanks for the follow, NetFQ. What's the point of finally? To do something after both the try and the catch have potentially been called? I'm live every now and then. I don't have a set schedule, and it's very sporadic. But typically, I do stream on Wednesday evenings to solve coding problems. Okay, so the app should still work in the same way. Let's check it out. We'll refresh it. The data loads instantly, and we see it, so that's great. Let's force an error to happen, and then do something based on that. And also, you might do this. So now that we have this, potentially have an error that could happen, we want to manage that in here. So you could do that with another vif. So we could have a div, and we can say vif error. So if there's an error, show this. Otherwise, we'll do velse. We'll show all of this. So it's basically cascading. So if we're not loading, we're here. If there's an error, we show it. If there is no error, then we know that the data has loaded and we're good to go. I actually don't remember how you rickrolled me, Imphy. Was it a link or something? I don't know. But yeah, so, and then if there's an error, let's just show that error message. Error. And we'll just show error. And let's give this a class of error. And then in our styles, we can just say errors are red. Like that. And then let's force an error to happen. So if like I break this URL, we should now see an error. Failed to fetch, right? But if we put it back, it actually shows the loaded data. So that's a thing. So the question came from Ricky. In Vue, when loading data, what's the best way to wait for the data to return? This is typically what I do. I actually do use vif and velse. It works for me. There are probably other ways to do it as well. You could technically render components instead of just having everything in line like this. You can render a component inside of here if there is an error, or if we're done loading and there is no error. But this is typically how I do it. vcloak is underrated. I don't know if you need that in a Vue CLI application. All right. Cool. All right, and since we're already in Vue, let's we could technically do some cool things like a computed property that sorts this array based on the number of confirmed cases. I absolutely remember your Rickroll, Andrew. Andrew told me that they were live streaming on Twitch, and they were just streaming the Rickroll video. How do you do this in React? It's very similar. You just have conditional rendering based on the API response. There's that new thing, React Suspense, which goes a level above this because it will actually prevent the component from rendering altogether until the API response is complete. You can't really do that in Vue.js. Oh, that's true. The thing is, I saw it. I saw the Rickroll. Rickreel. I saw the Rickroll and I let it happen anyways. The other Rickroll? I don't know if I do. Hello, M&A. We were just doing an example with Vue.js. Let's answer one more question, and then I gotta go. There were some other things we wanted to get to. Let's see what we didn't do. I can't really do this today. Master Jobs asked about why do we need helmet. I will point you to a video where I talk about that. Yeah, actually, it's a pretty recent one. This video on building a travel log. Yeah, this one. So in this video, it's pretty long. We build a full stack app, but at the beginning, when we're setting up the backend API, we use Helmet. Do I have some timestamps here? Maybe I don't, but we use Helmet, and I talk about why we use Helmet and why you would want to use it in your backend application. So check out that video. What else? How did I make the coronavirus tracker? We talked about this. All right, let's answer one more question on the Q&A site. React Helmet is made by the NFL. That's pretty cool. Oh, I don't remember you doing that, Andrew. I don't remember that. Okay, Pranjal asked this question about the different programming paradigms. We could create the, I guess, can you do the, yeah, we could do the Fibonacci sequence. Someone suggested solving this using queues. I don't know. Is there a way to link Patreon to the Q&A site if you use a different email address than Twitch? You'll need to log in with Patreon. I don't actually look at a list of members or anything like that. So here, if you go to the website, just log in with your Patreon account that has the membership, and then it will show up. Doesn't matter what email it is. If it's different from Twitch, you'll technically have two separate accounts, but if you log in with Patreon, that's all you need. I came in late. V elements. What React library do they come from? Oh no, this is not React. This is Vue.js. It's a totally separate thing from React. You can build similar applications, but it's not React at all. It's Vue. React helmet. How would you handle displaying another element if the collection you request is empty / doesn't exist? You could have more v-ifs. You could have custom logic down here that like sets another property, but one way to do it is right here. You could say v-if data.features.length. So, and you might even double check that. So let's make sure data.features is a property and make sure data.features has stuff inside of it. Otherwise, no data, something like that. So just a whole bunch of VFs. There's definitely better ways to do this with like separate components, but yeah, you can use VF all day long. Niklaus, what do you got? An iframe with a jiffy. If you put the direct image link, that should actually work. Let's see if it gets answered in a few years. It's so true. It takes implicit checks. Like I said, you could create a custom component that does this. There are other ways. And thanks for the follow. Strategy first. Would it be easier to learn Vue if you already know React? Yeah. If you already know React, you're going to find that Vue.js is a lot easier. Some people don't like that certain things are hidden from you in Vue. Then they kind of just work. Whereas in React, you have to actually like write more code to make it work. But yeah. Yep, conditional rendering for React as well. It's GIF, not GIF. Do exclamation mark GIF, and you should get a response from the bot. I don't really know, Infi. Soon. I'll say soon. Okay. Should I try to wing this and give a coding example that shows the difference between functional and object-oriented with no preparation? Should I save this for a future episode? And should I just go answer another question? And I really hate that I skip this question every time, Pranjal, but I feel like I want to prepare like a good example before I answer it. And hello, Ozma. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's pronounced GIF. And hello, Katoli. Welcome. What do you all think? Do it now, says John. Save for a future episode, says Ancient Coder. Fabian says it'd be better if you make another video. Park Host says hello. Hello, Park Host. All right, we're going to save it for a future episode, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight it because I have skipped this question so many times and I need to just do a separate episode on it. I really do. And I'm sorry, Pranjal, for not answering it right now. Yeah, exclamation mark will actually give you secret comments. Ed is asking about Vue versus Svelte. Svelte is really cool and it's as easy to use and learn as Vue, but it hasn't been around as long, so the community isn't really as big. And you may not, if you're looking to do something very specific, you may not find a lot of examples of it online. But other than that, Svelte is really cool. I work at a software consultancy here in Denver, Colorado. A hello world in all paradigms. Next time. Okay. Let's find one more question to answer. Let's just do a simple scrape. Let's do it. Steven is asking, how do you scrape an HTML table with Cheerio if the table has no CSS classes? Can you just scrape using the table body elements? Yes, you absolutely can. Somebody help me find a website with just a basic table on it. We could probably find it on... we could probably find a Wikipedia article. List of U.S. states. Here we go. Oh yeah, we can do everything related to coronavirus. Mr. Balrog says, I don't really hammer on people who pronounce it GIF though. You pronounce CD as CD, though the word is compact. So it should then be pronounced KD through the same logic. Compact disc. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so there is a table here. Let's take a look at it in the element inspector to see if it has like any classes, because basically we would want to like scrape this table to get all the data out of it. Yeah, so I mean, they do have classes, but we can scrape it without the classes. We absolutely can. Let's just do it. We're going to scrape this website. Oh, no, you know what? It might be loading this dynamically. Let's see. Your argument is flawed. Let's see. No, okay, so we can definitely scrape this because the data is embedded in a table on this website. Okay, so we're gonna build a really quick scraper that scrapes scrape the table in all paradigms. Um, I guess I'm kind of gonna do it in a functional way. I don't know. But let's do it. So we're gonna write a Node.js script that requests this web page, scrapes this table, and turns it into like a simple JSON API. So let's do that right quick. Okay, let's kill that view app. Let's go up. Let's make a directory for scrape table example. Let's go into that directory. We're going to initialize it for npm. We're going to install node fetch, which will let us make the request. We'll install Cheerio, which will let us pick out the pieces of the HTML. I think that's all we need. We technically could install Express to make like a simple JSON API. Let's do that. We'll install Express, and we'll have like a super simple JSON API. Okay. And before I forget, let me put their question in the README. Will I stream again later? Oh, I'm going to try to stream tomorrow. I'm not going to make any promises, but I have really been lacking in the streams lately. So, is it Friday it is Friday the 13th. I didn't even realize. But yeah, I've been lacking in streams lately, so I actually do want to stream something. Okay. This is going to be a quick and dirty intro to web scraping with Node.js. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to scrape this table of confirmed cases and deaths by country, territory, or conveyance for the coronavirus. So we're going to make a request to this web page. We're going to get the HTML source, and then we're going to use Cheerio, which is a JavaScript library, to extract out the pieces that we want from this table. So let's just create a variable that has the URL inside of it, like that. We're going to bring in our dependencies. So we're going to bring in fetch. We're using a library called node fetch, which allows us to make requests using fetch inside of Node.js, because we're not in the browser right now. And we're also going to bring in Cheerio. Is this hard to read? Yes, it is. And Cheerio is a server-side library that has a very similar API to jQuery. So it's like jQuery on the server side. I know a lot of people cringe at that statement, but basically this allows you to extract things and use selectors inside of HTML content. So we'll create a function. We'll say like scrape table. And this will be an async function because it has to make the request. So let's make the fetch. So we're going to say response equals await fetch that URL. And then we're going to get back the HTML, which is going to be response.text. So this is going to get the HTML contents of that of this page that we just requested. Then we're going to load it into a Cheerio document. So we'll say cheerio.load. We'll pass in that HTML content. And then we can actually extract some things out. So for now, let's just see if this has like a selector. Yeah, ID equals countries. Just to show this working really quick, let's say title is, we're going to select the thing with the ID countries. And we want to grab its internal text. And then we're just going to log that title there. Cool. So this is a very basic scraping function. It's just going to grab the text and log it to the console. So here we'll just call our scrape table function. And let's see if it works. So let's do node index. It's taking a while. It's taking a long time. Why is it taking so long? My chat manager is broken. Hello, everyone. Request was deprecated. Yeah, I'm curious why this request is taking forever. Let's make sure that my function is actually getting called. Requesting got HTML. Let's try again. Oh, there we go. I'm curious why that didn't load for a second. So that requests the HTML and extracts out that title. There we go. So it's working. But what we want to do is we want to extract this table. So first, we need a selector, which is going to give us the table. This particular table has an ID, so that's great. You can really use any selector you want. You could just even use the table, like literally the word table. But if there's multiple tables on the page, then you may have to say, I only want the 4th or the 5th table or the 2nd table, but we're just going to select it by ID because that's easy enough. So, grab the title, that's fine. Let's put the table in a variable. And we're going to select the thing with the ID main table countries. So that's great. Now we actually have the table in a variable. GIF. Yeah, some pictures aren't loading. I'm actually okay with that. It prevents spam. I don't know. All right, so we've got the table. Let's look inside of it. So it does have a table head. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dynamically pull the table header and use that to create objects with those properties. Yeah, so we're going to pull the table header, which just has one row inside of it. So let's say header is going to be, we'll do table.find. We want to find the first row in here. Sothead tr. So that should find this row right here. And then we're going to look at each th inside of it to get its actual text content. So that's the header. And then we can iterate over all the ths. So we'll say, I believe I can do header.find th. And then for each one, we get the index, and then we get the actual element itself. Let's create an array of headers. We'll say headers.push. We want to pass that element into Cheerio, so that way we can actually use built-in functions like text. And then we'll trim it. Okay. Now let's log the headers. So this should give us every header in that table. There we go. So we have country, other, total cases, new cases, total deaths, new deaths, total recovered. Awesome. I think what we'll also do is replace spaces and special characters with like underscores. So we'll trim it and then replace, we'll just do a regular expression. We want one or more space, or a comma, anything else, or a slash, and we want to replace that with an underscore. So we'll do that globally. All right, let's see what that gives us. That did not work. It looks like it didn't find the comma. Or a comma. Sometimes this page just doesn't work at all. Could just do /word plus. So find a word. Or slash white space. Is that what we mean? Is capital W white space? Sometimes the request takes a long time. That's really weird. Okay, that does it though. So that replaced special characters. Now we have the table headers. That's great. So we can use those to create objects with all of the properties. And hello, Satsara. We are doing a very basic example of scraping a table using JavaScript. /w is non-word character. I like that. If I just do /w alone, will that work? Nice. Very cool. Thank you. And thanks for the follow, Superior Scribe. And hello, Sammy. Welcome to the show. Okay, so we have the table headers. That's awesome. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to find all of the actual data rows. So that's going to be inside of tbody. I'm curious why there are 2 tbodies. Okay, those are like grand totals. So I really only care about the first tbody. And then we're just going to look at each individual row and get the data out of each column. So we look at the table row, and then we look at the TD, and we can get like the text content of the TD itself. So let's do this. We'll say table.find. We want to find T-body and table rows. Well, actually, I want to find the first T-body. So I'll do that one, because what I'm seeing is there are actually two T-bodies. One is the summary row. I really just want the first one. And then we'll pass that into a selector. And I then want to find all of the table rows. And for each one, we should get access to the contents. Yeah, and then for each element, we want to iterate over each column. So I will then say, let's grab that element, let's find the TDs that are inside and iterate over each one. And then for now, let's just log. We want to log headers at I, because that's going to be the title of that specific column. And we're going to log the actual text of this column. .text.trim. So if I did this correctly, we should see all of the data from the table just logged out. There we go. So we see it's a whole lot, but this is basically grabbing every single row and then giving it the title from the header row. So now that we've done that, it's actually going to be very easy to create some JavaScript objects out of this. So let's say rows is an array, and then we'll create an object called row. And then as we iterate, we'll say, instead of logging it, we'll just say row at headers at I is equal to the text here, like that. And then afterwards, we'll say rows.push that given row. And now at this point, we have all of the rows. So we should get a nice big ol' object, or big ol' array of objects that has all of the data from that table. So we have the country, total cases, new cases. If that column was empty, it just stays empty. So that's great. We've done it. We basically have scraped this table. Now we could clean things up. We could like get rid of the plus sign, or different things like that. But for the most part, we're basically scraping this table using the element names alone. We're using tbody, tr, td. We're not using any classes. We're just looking at the header row to find the headers. We're looking at each column and then just saying if it's in a given column, then it has the given header. So it is what it is. But yeah. Wouldn't we want the empty ones to be 0? It depends. Let's see what this data is showing us. Deaths, total recovered. So yeah, I think it makes sense to put those as 0. Yeah. The other thing we could do is actually like set these as numbers instead of strings. So let's do this. And basically, we know for our data, if it's not the first row, then it's a number. It absolutely is a number. So we can take that into account. We'll say if I right here, if I does not equal 0, meaning this is not the row with the country name, then we can do some parsing. So we can say that thing equals itself, replace any plus sign or comma with nothing, and then we can parse that whole thing as a number. And if it's nothing, then we're just going to get the number 0. All right, let's see what this does for us. I think this did it. So we now actually have numbers. Let's look at some of the countries with like big numbers. Yeah, like 2,000. Cool. Yeah, I think we've done it. I think the last thing is turn this into a quick API, and then I gotta go. I could number all the things. I don't want to number the first column because that's the country. But yeah. Is this JavaScript or jQuery? So this is a library called Cheerio, which is basically like server-side jQuery. So now that we've figured out all the scraping, let's just return the rows array, and then we can create a very simple Express API for returning this data as like JSON. And that is your procedural example. Thank you, John. So procedural programming is when you do one thing after another. And that's basically what we're doing, right? Like one after another, we're making something happen. We technically have these functions which are getting called multiple times. And technically, no, these are, yeah, I mean, they're sort of peer functions, but not really because they're affecting variables that are outside of them. So yeah, this is procedural coding for sure. I do not know Lua. Yeah, we're not in jQuery. We're on the server side using Cheerio. How can there be so many cases outside of China? There were like 2 months to prepare. Yeah, people just didn't prepare and didn't take it seriously. Yeah, we're using Cheerio. There already is an API that scrapes that website. That's fine. I'm showing my example of how you would build this yourself. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rename this file to be scrape table. And then we'll just export that function. And then we can import this function into our actual Express app. So we'll make an Express app. Yeah, no, that's exactly how the first case got to Colorado, because someone was traveling from Italy to go like skiing or snowboarding in Colorado, and they have the coronavirus. So yeah, that's a thing. So let's create an app. This is just an Express app. We'll say app.listen. We're gonna listen on what's a good like coronavirus port. We'll do 1919 because it's COVID-19. And then we're just gonna log listening at http://localhost 1919. Is it Lillian or Julian? Julian is asking about caching the request. Well, I'll show how we can do that, and it's pretty easy to do. So yeah, it's listening. Now we need a route. So we'll say when a GET request comes in on the slash route, we are just going to call that function we created earlier and then respond with JSON. So we have our request and our response. This is going to be an async function, and we're going to bring in the scrape table function. So bring in scrape table. We'll say our data is equal to awaiting that function call, and then we'll just do res.json with the data. And this is a very basic Express app that is going to have a single endpoint that gives us back the data. So let's run that now. And if we go here, will it work? Let's try again. There we go, it works. So we get back a big ol' array with all of those properties. And now we could do something with it. So that's a thing. But either Lulian or Julian asked about caching. Let's do that, because right now, every time we request this endpoint, it has to make the request, do the scrape, and then render the data. So it takes like a few seconds every time. You can see it's loading. Sometimes it fails altogether. And then we get the data back. But what we can do in the function itself is we can just cache the data. So that caches it for 10 minutes. So let's do that. We will cache it for 10 minutes. And hello, welcome back, Infi. And hello, Cal. We're doing a quick example of web scraping, and we're scraping this table of coronavirus information. But okay, let's say the cache is initially null. And we'll say last cache time is also initially null. And what we'll do is at the beginning of this function, we'll check to see if the cache exists and last cache time is less than date.now minus 10 minutes. If it's greater than date.now minus 1 second times 60 seconds times 60 seconds in a minute times 10 total minutes. So this is 10 minutes in wait, no. This will be 60 seconds. 60 seconds times 10 would give us 10 minutes. And if the current time minus 10 minutes, if this is less than that than it was before, and we want to reach into the cache. Yeah, I could create an object with two properties. There's a lot of ways to go here, but greater than. If it's greater than, we're just going to return the cache. So I'm just going to say return cache. Otherwise, we actually make the request, and then here before returning it, I'll say cache equals rows, and last cache time equals date.now. Cool. So if we've done that correctly, let's kill it. Yeah, and technically we should even put like a try catch in the request. Scrape a table with the web audio API. So we'll make this request. We get back the data, but now if I refresh, it should be instant, right? Because we're actually loading it from the cache. And 10 minutes from now, because the time will be after 10 minutes from now, that didn't make any sense, but 10 minutes from now, it's going to check the time, and it'll make the request again because the time basically has expired. So that's basic caching. Now we wait 10 minutes. No, I got to go. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us. Thanks, everyone that came over from the Clark.io stream. And thanks for asking questions and hanging out. I will probably stream again tomorrow. I need to. I haven't been streaming a lot. Every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes. That's true. But yeah. Candlecan says, why not use a React library to handle something like this? Because this is all backend code. So what we basically just created was a backend API that you would host on some server somewhere, and then you could call this API from a React application or from a Vue application. This particular website, we can look at it, probably does not allow cross-origin requests. So if we look at the network tab, just for the main request of the website, let's look at it. We can look at the headers. Here. And we can see in the response, there is no access control allow origin header, meaning if you tried to request the HTML of this web page from React or Vue, you would get an error because the browser is not going to let you make a request elsewhere, which is why you would need to create your own separate backend, which does the request, does the scraping, and then just returns JSON that like a front-end website could use. So yeah. Thank you, Maharshi. No! Yeah. I'm not leaving. I'm staying home, but I just have to go back to work here at home. I don't really have time to answer all those questions. If you do !break, you can get a link to my break timer. That's the one that asks us to take a break. Oh, nice. DevOpam is uploading deployment guides for Now V2. Bypass cores entered the chat. All right, we'll do. I like that. So somebody mentioned programmer humor. We'll do reviews of 2 of the top posts on programmer humor. But all of the code that I wrote today is going to get pushed up to GitHub. If you go to github.com/codinggarden, there's a repo called Variety Show. Yeah, Variety Show. And all of the code I wrote, like the Vue app and the backend app, that's going to be uploaded here, so you can check it out there. I'll go ahead and throw a link in the chat. Why old Reddit? Because I really don't like new Reddit. I prefer this layout much more. All right, so welcome to the portion of the show where CJ reads and reviews programmer humor posts. I will also attempt to explain the joke for anyone that is not technical or that is not a programmer. So here we go. Top post, big brain game. When you solve your friend's coding problem. It's funny. Your head's so big and you're so smart that you have to carry it around. That's basically it. There's not much technical to understand about that. Good job. All right, this next one. No, this actually makes sense. Okay, this is I've seen this joke before, but this is a good one. So price list. We design everything. 500 euros. We design and you watch. 800 euros. We design and you advise. 1,000 euros. That is euros, right? We design and you help. 1,500 euros. We design and you design and we help. 2,000 euros. You design and we advise. 3,500 euros. You design and we watch. 5,000 euros. You design everything. 8,000 euros. So this is a comment on like design firms or consultancies that are working with clients to make something. And the idea is that typically like the design firm or the consultants, like they are the experts. So if you just let them do their job, it's actually going to be a whole lot cheaper and take a whole lot less time, which is why that's at the top. We design everything. If you're sitting over their shoulder while they're doing it, they're going to charge you more because it's going to take them longer. And if you have, if you're advising them and there's lots of back and forth, that's going to take even more time because they can't just do what they want. They need to have some back and forth. We design and you help, even more money because you're going to just slow them down. And then same thing. If you do it, it's going to cost even more money. Those are dream prices. I've seen European salaries. Yeah. You design, we fix, make all the money. Yeah. So that's a funny one. This applies to programming as well and just building apps in general. All right, we're going to do one more. When the project manager is worried about security, programmer. Password must contain at least one emoji. I like that password rule. Yeah, it's just a password validator that looks for emojis. Okay, so that has been CJ Reviews Programmer Humor. Thanks for humoring me by watching me do that. Let's find somebody to raid on Twitch. So if you're watching on YouTube, head over to twitch.tv/codinggarden. And if you have not followed me on Twitch, please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. And pretty soon, I'm going to only be streaming on Twitch. So be sure to follow me there. I'm only 25 followers away from 2,000, so you could help. You could help me get there. But go there, and we're going to do a raid. It looks like InstaFluff is live. Let's see what they're working on. What time is it? They usually end by now, though. We'll raid InstaFluff. He's a great dude. There you go. And so, wait, that's me. I think it was Doc and Impy that just shared the raid message. Be sure to copy and paste that when we get over to the coding. There it is. Copy and paste that message, and we're going to send that when we go over to raid InstaFluff. Be nice to each other. Have a good time while you're there. I will maybe see you tomorrow. Stay safe. Stay home. Wash your hands. All that good stuff. There we go. We're going to do that. And thanks for the follows, everyone. Yeah, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning. Look at all these drops. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.